Good day. Today we will talk about the Fmd platform. The last class we talked about the HVAC portion of the program. Today's class we will go over the portion of the control platform that deals with lights. So just as a reminder, Fmd is a cloud-based platform. So each of our customers will have a place on our Fmd server in our main office, and each part of their cloud, or partition you might call it, has an IP address. And what I would recommend is that you save your customers' information as one of your favorites. It'll make it easier to log on. So we're going to use Baker Petroleum again. And you can see that I have my name and my password already saved. Now I'm going to log in. And this is their Georgetown store. We'll wait for the internet to catch up with us. There we go. And current store floor plan. All right, so today we're going to talk about lights. And from the floor plan, you'll see that the interior lighting is on, the dusk to dawn lighting is off, and the dusk to close lighting is off. So to navigate to the lighting, we go up to current store. And as we did with HVAC, we go to the drop down. We go to equipment, and then we go to lighting. And let's go to the process view. Now let me explain a few things on the process view. Starting left to right. We have only 1, 2, 3 lighting zones in this store. And as you can see, the light bulb is off. It also indicates dusk to close is off, dusk to dawn is off, and interior lighting is currently on. Now you'll see a 24-hour clock under each one of those zones. Let me explain what that means. If you take a look at the first zone, dusk to close, you will see that it is off from about 2200 hours to 0600 hours. The dusk to dawn is actually energized for a full 24 hours. And interior lighting is off from, looks like 2230 hours to 0530 hours. Okay, so you have the current status of each zone, and you also have the schedule indicated by a 24-hour clock. So obviously the bright yellow is when it's scheduled to be on, and the dark gray is when it's scheduled to be off. So let's stay with the schedule. Let me go to configuration, and we'll go lighting schedule, dusk to close. So it is corporate schedule number 12, which is for Georgetown, which is store number 12, dusk to close. We are telling it to react to an override button in case someone comes to the store and they just want to hit a button and turn the lights on. We're also asking it to react to a photocell, and I'll get to that shortly. The photocell threshold is 25 foot candles. The next zone we have is dusk to dawn. And this is on for a full 24 hours. We can react to an override button, and we are reacting to a photocell. The difference is dusk to close and dusk to dawn. Think of dusk to dawn as your overnight. Maybe you might think of it as security lights. And this particular zone here, they only want it to come on at dusk and then to go off slightly after closing time of the store. And lastly, our interior light, again, that's schedule number 12 for store number 12. And do not react to an override button, and do not react to a photocell. And that's very important, and I'll show you that in a moment. So let's go back to the process view just to review what we talked about. So dusk to close, we know that it's reacting to a photocell and a schedule. So it's scheduled to be off from 2200 hours to 0600 hours. Dusk to dawn is reacting to a photocell, and we have that schedule energized for a full 24 hours. However, it'll be controlled by a photocell, which we'll go over shortly. And then interior lighting does not react to a photocell. It reacts only to the schedule, and it turns on at 0530 and it turns off at 2230. So now we talk about the photocell. Currently, it's a bright sunny day in Georgetown, Delaware, and the photocell is at a full 255.8 foot candles. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the graph, and I'm going to look at one thing only right now. I'm going to look at lighting global photocell in foot candles. We'll wait for the internet to catch up to us. And there you go. I'm going to go back in time just so that you can see the action of the photocell. So here you have a full over 255 foot candles, and then slowly it diminishes, and this is the overnight period where we're not getting any reaction on the photocell at all. And then roughly it looks like somewhere around 6:30, 6:35, we start to pick up brightness, and by looks like 7 a.m. we're reading full daylight for this particular photocell, 255 plus foot candles. So that's the action of the photocell, which is controlling two of the circuits. So while we're on this graph page, let's take a look at some other points. Let's take a look at dusk to close. I'll add that. Dusk to dawn. And then lastly, we'll add interior lighting zone. Remember, interior lighting zone is working on schedule only. Let's wait for the internet to catch up to us. And there you have it. So in bright Kelly green, that's the dusk to close schedule. Blue is dusk till dawn. Red is the interior lighting, and the teal color is the photocell. So here you have daylight, and then we approach dusk, and then the foot candles sharply fall off. So here is the dusk to close, and somewhere around the threshold is where we tell the zone to come on. Now this is dusk to close, so these lights are energized only for a portion of the time needed by the customer, and then when the store closes, the lights shut off. So this zone here is reacting to a schedule and the photocell. The next zone, dusk to dawn, or the overnight or security lights, again, at about 25 foot candles, they energize, but notice they stay on all night. And you may recall that the schedule shows them energized for 24 hours, so it's constantly on, and the override or the controlling factor for this would be what? It would be the photocell. So as soon as it gets below 25 foot candles, we sense that as dusk. The lights come on and they stay on overnight. And then right at opening time, they drop off. Now let's go back to the dusk to close lighting zone. You'll notice something interesting, that shortly before opening time, we have by schedule, the lights come back on, and they will stay on until we're at a full 255 plus foot candles, and then that zone will shut off. I hope I'm being clear. Right now they're off in the overnight, but by schedule, I think it was about 5:30 in the morning, they come on, and they will stay on until the photocell senses full daylight, and they turn off. So you'll see that goes off at the same time that the overnight security lights go off. And lastly, in red is interior lighting, and they of course are off. Overnight they are not reacting to a photocell, but when it's time for pre-opening, the lights come fully on at about 0530 and they stay on during business. So let's go back to the process view again. So these graphs show you the action of the lighting zones, and this store has 3 zones. And we'll go back to the process view. Again, in yellow is within a 24-hour period. That's the schedule for the dusk to close zone to be on. The security or overnight lights are on 24 hours straight. They are, however, controlled by a photocell. Interior lights are on a strict schedule. They do not react to a photocell. So at about 0530 they come on as per schedule, and at about 2230 they go off. Now, how can you use this for troubleshooting? Remember I showed you a situation with a customer, a different customer, where they were having problems with the heating, and you were able to troubleshoot through the Fmd platform. Well, I know for a fact that we do have an issue that we've discovered for our customer in one of the new stores, the seafood store. So what I'm going to do is go to that store now. I'm going to hit floor plan. Okay, you see this is not right. The interior lights on, but the dusk to dawn lights are also on, and that should not be. Why is that happening? Let's go to current store, equipment, lighting. Let's go right to graph. Actually, let's back up. We'll make sure that it's programmed properly. So equipment, lighting, and we'll go to process. It should be, yep, it's the same exact schedule that the other store uses. On at 0600, off at 2200. Dusk to dawn is 24 hours on. However, it should be controlled by a photocell. This is a problem. Interior lights are strictly on a schedule. Now look at here, photocell. It is only registering 33.1 foot candles, and it's by astronomical clock, we know that it's daytime. So that's not appropriate. You may remember that the type of photocell we use at Fmd, when you have a full clear day, you should get generated a sense of at least 255 plus foot candles. So let's go to the graph for this store. And let's just first take a look at what the photocell is doing. Here we go, lighting global photocell. I'll click that. This is a problem. So I contacted the customer today. He's going to send one of his technicians out. You see this photocell. I suspect perhaps bad wiring because of the way this is spiking up and down, or God forbid, it could be a bad photocell. But this, to me, the first thing I would want to take a look at is if we have some type of a loose wire issue, the way this is not sensing properly, and it's on, off. So obviously that's an inappropriate graph. Let me add another graph point to this. The lights that should be on only overnight. Lighting zone dusk to dawn. Right here, we'll add that. And you can see, I'll go back to the other store so that you can see an appropriate graph. But you can see we're not getting a proper signal here in terms of sensing daylight. So obviously we're getting bad information sent to the security lights, and they're probably on in the middle of the day when they should not be on. So let me go back to the process view again. Yep, dusk to dawn lights are on now. Obviously, they should not be. It's the middle of the day, and that's because they are not getting an appropriate signal from the photocell. So that's a way that you can pick up a problem. Obviously, it indicates that there's alarm conditions. That sends an email to the customer. But we noticed that there was a problem. Henry and I have both been in contact with the owner of the store, and he is sending a technician to the store so we can troubleshoot the photocell. So let me go back to a different store again. Let's go back to that Georgetown store just so that you can see what normal should look like. Georgetown, floor plan. And again, only the interior lights on, dusk to dawn off, dusk to close off. Let's go to current store, equipment, lighting, and go to graph. And we'll plot the same 2 points as we did in the store that we were troubleshooting. So let's go down and find lighting global, foot candles, and then also let's find the zone dusk to dawn. Remember, it's 24-hour active. However, it's being controlled by a photocell. So that's obviously what a perfect graph is supposed to look like. This is 0 and 1. 0 is off, 1 is on. So here's the overnight. We're not picking up any foot candles. And of course, that zone is on. But as soon as sunrise starts to build and we have enough illumination about right there, there we go, a little over 50 foot candles, and then that zone turns off. So that's the type of graph that we should see at the seafood store that we are not seeing, indicating that we do have a problem there. Okay, so let me go back to the floor plan. And that's lighting. That's probably one of the easiest, functions that we have in FMD. Very easy. It's a 24-hour clock, which establishes a schedule, and then you also have a photocell, which senses the quality or the amount of light outside and triggers 1, 2, 3 zones to go on or off, however you program it. Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping here. I'm going to go to disconnect to make sure that I'm off the site. And here, this is the IP address that I told you about. Again, we would suggest that you save it as one of your favorites. And I just hit OK, and we will be out of the store. All right, it's been a pleasure. Look for more of these classes in the future. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. My email address will come up shortly. It's cjcunliffe@parker.com, or why don't you give me a call, 908-415-9883. Thank you for your time.